I need someone to talk to me as I gushed about this ARG that Tumblr tricked me into reading or watching or vibing with.
I mean, I had one of my friends trick me into watching it. I was like calling them, they just went, "Hey, look at this," and then just put the video on. And I'm like, all right, guess we're doing this now.
Okay, so I don't know how to tell you. That may or may not have actually happened to you. You might also be trapped in a world that doesn't exist. I don't know. Maybe.
Oh,
maybe try looking away from the screen for a second for me. Sing to me, Melpomene, muse of tragedy, of the knowledge, both within and outside the world, aching, loving, and grueling, who sent only one soul to the void of hell and beyond. Welcome to FanDive. My name is Chaos.
And my name is Malabonk.
And today we are talking about the world that doesn't exist. They're searching for the destroying, the supplemental materials, which I'm screaming about.
I've not seen most of the supplemental materials, but I've at least seen the original videos, so...
Yes, so I will link the big old playlist down below of everything. Here's your spoiler warning. We're talking about spoilers. We'll give a brief little summary in the beginning, but we'll very quickly go into spoilers. This is a Minecraft ARG. It is completed now, which means you can go watch all the reward videos, all the prizes. It's set up in the way it's like, here's the prompt, go solve these mysteries, here's the video at the end that will give you all the information. We have all the information now. You can just go watch it. That's fine. But while this was going, this was a mystery. This was a puzzle to be unlocked. This went through multiple platforms like websites and Google Drives and weird codes found through Enderspeak or whatever, enchanting table. I keep wanting to call it Enderspeak. I don't know why. So this was originally an ARG, and now it is just kind of a cool video you can watch that is framed like an ARG, because the guy who made it also made the videos of like, here's a cool ARG I found.
Yeah, and to be clear, ARG stands for Alternate Reality Game, and is pretty much exactly what you were describing, with it being a story told across multiple websites that is meant to act as if it is a true story within a contained world that we are witnessing.
It is a multi-platform puzzle story unlocking story, which I now have,
yes.
I think, a lot of pages and notes on. This ARG brought back out the notebook. That is the level we are working at now. I have not needed to notebook the lore I've been watching in many a years. If you can hear the table crinkling, this is all a world that doesn't exist.
Oh no. Okay, would you like to give the summary of the videos themselves, or start from the beginning of the ARG all the way?
Let us start from the beginning. Once upon a time, this random YouTube channel that had one video up on beforehand was like, I found this weird book in my world. I didn't write this book. It's a solo player world, but then kind of reveals in the description of the video, it's like, yeah, this actually wasn't my computer. I found it in some storage locker, which... How did he get a hold of the storage locker? Did he buy it? Did he get one of those things where you can just oh, your family's owning the thing and now someone didn't clear out their locker, so now you get to raid it, or something? Randomly picks up some guy's computer, starts using it as his day computer. Minecraft is installed. He starts playing on this world that was already on this Minecraft installation, and he's like, yeah, it was a normal world, and then 400 blocks away from my base I found this weird mine shaft that someone had before me. And there's this book in it that says, whatever you do, don't turn left. So we start there. Very odd. And then the next person shows up and is searching for a world that doesn't exist. And then this guy's like, this is an ARG. I've totally found this cool ARG. Goes through that original video and then also is like, hey, in this thing, it actually, there's this code that links you to this Google Drive that has 2 more videos in it, and then goes through these videos and is basically yeah, it's from a different person's perspective. Actually, for the first half of that original video, he keeps calling this player Avery, who is, the Mayo guy who posted the first video, but it's very obviously not Avery. This guy, who we will call Dur, or later revealed his name to be Derek, is going through this weird world. He had this world, but when he got Minecraft, this world auto-installed. So another thing, big red flag, that's not how Minecraft works. You don't get a world automatically when you get the game. And he's digging this thing, and he's in this mine shaft, and he's like, okay, I finished this row of mines, time to turn to the other side of the wall and punch out there. And he finds this cave, and he goes through this cave, and there's okay, it's a weird cave, and then he starts noticing blocks that don't naturally generate there. And then it was a very clear, like, custom tree combination. The further and further along he goes, the weirder and weirder it gets. And then he finds this massive cavern with full of weird trees and this giant, like, gate entryway. I have to be careful not to say gateway because that's going to mean something later in this. And essentially, it spirals from there. And this is all based off of the pre-existing short story, very famous short story called The King in Yellow, which is vaguely psychological horror. It is so good. It is so eerie. When, like, searching up when I was first getting into this ARG, because hello Tumblr, you've tricked me into this once again. Your beautiful gay fan art has dragged me into this beautiful story.
Hate when that happens.
it's that's how Tumblr works, we know. I saw someone try and say, oh, I really didn't like the writing of The World That Doesn't Exist. It feels so weak. And they pointed out all the things they didn't like, and it was all stuff from The King in Yellow. Like, you don't mind the stuff they did in Minecraft. You didn't like the original story. That's your problem. So yes, that is what we're working with. Things spiral from there as they find more and more weird stuff about this world. And very quickly, Derek realizes that he's being hunted down isn't the right word. Something is following him. Something is trying to push him further and further into this world. Until eventually he finds a giant yellow gate and he looks behind it and there's a big old sensor bar. We cannot see it. Derek moves about like he's going insane and then it just stops. It cuts there. Very important thing to note is that if you go look at these original videos that this ARG video is pointing at, saying, go look at this, they're silent. There is no voice work. There is no music. You can only hear the gameplay. But in, like, the ARG, they're searching for and destroying the world that doesn't exist. They add voice lines. They add music. But, like, if you watch the original stuff, it sucks you in because it feels real. It feels like someone is playing the game with you. And that's a very important part of this ARG, is the fact that we are meant to view these characters not as people living in the world of Minecraft, but as people playing Minecraft. A huge part of this ARG is the fact that someone is stuck at their computer playing this game physically.
Exactly. A large appeal of it is that it's kind of like a fake true crime podcast, I guess. I'm trying to, like, explain it to somebody who wouldn't know what an ARG is, because I don't know how much people know if they're watching this.
It's a puzzle game. It's a fun puzzle game with spooky horror story.
Yeah, but it very much reads like a true crime podcast where you're discovering symptoms and secrets and talking about these real events. But of course, the person who's made this analysis video is the person who made the original videos as well. So they built the story and then are able to dissect it from an outsider's perspective to create a more interesting narrative, like, whole.
Yeah, so also within this Google Drive where we find Derek's videos, there's also a PDF that tells of the fact that, you know, this game came with Minecraft. Or this world came with Minecraft. And so when the player goes into this grove and goes into things, like, he knows. Derek is set up to be a very smart character. Derek is, like, solving all these puzzles. He ends up finding this huge, massive, like, cipher carved into the wall of one of these groves. And he full on just sits down with a pen and paper at his desk and starts to solve it. We don't actually find out what that puzzle, that cipher means. But he's like, yeah, that's a pretty cool poem you just wrote there. Don't use double ciphers. That's kind of stupid of you. And then the next step was, like, you have to solve these lever mechanics. And he's like, he messes with it for a bit. And he's like, hold on a second, I have a pickaxe, and just breaks through the wall instead.
Yep. Just taking the mechanics of Minecraft and using it against him.
Yeah, that's
also, we never said who the YouTuber was that made this, by the way. We never said a name, I don't think.
We jumped right into it. This story is by, well, I mean, so I would link it down below. Yeah, this story is from Wifi, or Wifi, I think it's Wifi? Wifies?
Wifies? I think it's Wifies.
I think it's meant to be a play off of Wi-Fi, but it's Wifies. So yes,
Wi-Fi,
all the credit goes to this person. It is, again, spread out through multiple YouTube channels, multiple accounts, and there's also an additional, like, rules video that you could go and watch that, like, really laid out how this was going to be set up and formatted. If this inspires you to get into ARGs, look at the rules video, because the rules video actually is a really good explanation on how, like, the behind the scenes is working in terms of, like, setting things up and getting things functional. And again, for us, for who were introduced to this after this ARG was already complete, it shows the level of puzzles that people were doing in order to unlock the things that we now get to go see very easily. Yeah, basically, he goes through all these things, Derek solves all these puzzles, but also specifically shows that this is still Minecraft. Very obviously calls out to the fact that he is still going to be using Minecraft mechanics to get through some of these rooms. At one point, Derek becomes something spooks him, something scares him. Things like torches in this hallway he's walking down start going out, it becomes very dark, and he's chased down this hallway, and he gets thrown or jumps into this water pool, and he's very clearly saying, that was scared. Why am I scared? This is Minecraft. This is freaking me out. And he ends up into this later portion where he's like, okay, if something's following me, I'm plugging up this hole behind me, so if it breaks it, I can see. But then he also sets a trap, and he's talking in chat about this, about, yeah, it's a hopper trap, so if the hopper is empty when I come back, that means something loaded the chunks here and followed me. And then without saying it, also sets down a grass block trap, which is like, if the grass spreads to this dirt block next to it, then something follows me. But he does not say it in the chat, does not say it out loud. And so when he comes back, the hole is still plugged, the hopper is still going, but the grass block spread, meaning whatever is following him is very intelligent and can hear him or read the chat.
But does not know the Minecraft mechanic.
Does not know Minecraft. That is a very important thing to point out. Does not know Minecraft, and this will be an important tool that helps us later. Listen, Minecraft is always important.
Minecraft is always important.
Minecraft is always important. Where else? Where did we leave off?
Well, we left off at Derek encountering the King of Yellow.
Yes. So
yeah. the mysterious box.
The mysterious box, the black screen, which I mean, like we all know it's the King in Yellow. It's just we don't get to know how that is being portrayed. But before we have to talk about that, I do want to say that he goes through this maze and he's like very good at solving this maze, and then he ends up in this village, and this village is going to play a very important story. This village is the thing that makes you feel like someone was living in this world. There's references to people living in this world. There's references to people feeling like how normal Minecraft RP would be presenting. Like, yeah, this is someone's life here. And it's talking about this village who's trying to summon this king, and there's a vessel chosen, and we end up getting audio logs, which I'll talk about in a second, but that goes into spoiler territory. Derek finds a book that tells the reader, in this case Derek, and also the audience, turn back, disconnect, leave, and log off this world. It is very clearly, even though the people in this village live and act like this world is alive and living to them, whoever wrote this book was specifically saying disconnect from the game.
Yeah, it's the one of the few things in the
village
weird stuff in the weird stuff happening that acknowledges that it's a game and not just reality.
Things happen, he goes down the hall, he finds a crossroads, turns left, yellow door, goes insane, rushes back to the mine shaft, which should not be able to reach the mine shaft from the location he was in, but okay, ends up back in the mine shaft, writes the book that Avery ends up finding, and then his inventory changes, and using the code that was previously talked about, and then the inventory, we can decipher it to saying, run Avery, it's here. And that is the end of that little bit.
Yeah, the end of that first video, or it's not the first video chronologically, but it is the first one that a lot of people saw that brought them in if they were not actively part of the earlier stages of the ARG.
Yes, to most people, the ARG is just searching for a world that doesn't exist and destroying a world that doesn't exist, and they have no clue about the audio logs, the PDF, the 15-hour video, which I watched. It's fine. That's supplemental material. You don't need to worry about that. You didn't need to solve a puzzle to get here. No! I didn't go insane.
When was the last time you slept?
Don't worry about it. I watched it at work.
Oh no.
Yes, but then there is a supplemental video. Oh, you know what? I'm going to throw in the spoiler warning. We've officially entered spoiler territory. Technically, everything is spoiler if you don't know what this ARG is about. Spoiler warning here. Supplemental material discussed. Okay. Now, we get a wifey. King in Yellow, the door is revealed. But technically, this is from a completely separate account from, I think, Butchie77 or whatever I have written down. It is a Minecraft Live. We look at the video, and it's talking about this person. It's like, yeah, I love I'm pretty sure this person is white people. Like, he's like, I love when people do ARGs. I love sharing them and talking about them. And then it very clearly shows stuff from The King in Yellow. And then it shows what's behind one of the yellow gates, and it's a village surrounded by or standing on top of white glass. And then the person talking in this video is like, yeah, there's actually clues hidden within this video. I've gave you plenty of hints. Go figure it out. And that's where the video cuts off. And we will talk about what that is later. Because now we get to move on to the audio logs. There's 4 audio logs and then a bonus, which is called Erasure. So the audio logs are told in the perspective of someone living in the village. And like, there's this weird house that randomly appeared that no one, like, it wasn't there before, but no one saw it being built, and it came about through this weird sound. And so this person is going around interviewing people, trying to figure out how did that happen? How did that get there? And is basically talking to like this random person, and then this guy who used to work at this library. And then we kind of get introduced to this world of like, this library holds a lot of magical power, and people are there to guard it, not to go read it, not to go look at it. Only the guards and somebody called the Father had access to it. And we learned that this is the village that was trying to summon the king. And one of the people who this person talks to is the vessel, someone who's being prepared to be the vessel and the vessel's handler. And the vessel, who was like named Abel or something, was like, yeah, that house belonged to my brother. And then everyone's like, you didn't have a brother. And the vessel's like, no, his name's like, what is his name? What did I have his name written down as? I don't even know. What's the guy's name? Lannis? Yennis?
I haven't seen the thing. I don't know.
No, his name comes up later.
I don't know.
Okay.
I got the memory of a goldfish, man.
This is why I take notes. So yeah, he had this brother, Lannis or something, and Lannis apparently was like, we find about this in the later video, Lannis was starting to doubt what was going on, was starting to doubt the ritual, the vessel, everything going on. And no one can remember this person existing. And this house randomly appearing in everyone's POV very well could have been, no, this was someone's house, and then everyone had to forget about this person, which means you feel like this house just appeared because you don't remember this ever existing before. We get told that one of the guards in the library has a book of someone saying, of someone coming up to this guard asking for help, asking for like help because they're doubting questions and all this jazz. And this guard's like, I don't remember this happening. But if there's anyone who this is going to be, it could very well be the vessel's brother, who no one can seem to remember. Someone who was swallowed by the void. And then the erasure video happens, which is the audio log of this person talking to Lannis, and Lannis having this doubt of like, I don't want to summon this king. This feels very incorrect. I'm afraid of losing my brother. And then when the guy's like, I think you're just having anxiety like any normal person would, Lannis gets up and leaves, and we get cut to a visual now because everything else was just a black screen. We get a visual of this guy in completely hooded robes. All the villagers wear these hooded robes, and he pulls out a flint and steel in front of what I believe to be the house that was decorated in yellow. And then he just disappears. He's no longer standing there. And then we cut to a void, and he appears, and he's just somewhere else. And yeah, then it cuts to black. Also, it's worth noting that Lannis had the same exact reaction, like same exact mouse movements that Dur did whenever Dur saw what was behind the door. So that's concerning.
I don't know.
That's concerning. Then we get to the 15-hour video. Now, for the record,
oh god,
for the record, the 15-hour video is summarized in the first hour of destroying the world that does not exist. I did not know this when I was watching the 15-hour video.
Oh no.
It's fine. But again, as I was talking about before, a lot of the things that were in this original 15-hour video, like, it's silent. You don't get voice lines. You don't get music. You're fully in this world. And so Avery's back, and he's like, yeah, I just saw Dur's video. I'm going to go through the caves and follow his footsteps. I'm going to find him. Avery does not know who Derek is. These two have never met. This is just some guy's laptop who he found. And now apparently there's an ARG about this world that he accidentally uploaded. It's like Avery is fully figuring it out with the audience. That is the setup that we're going into this 15-hour video with. But yeah, he goes down the caves. He's in creative mode during this. Derek had to do this all in survival. Avery's doing this largely in creative. He like punches through the maze using creative mode. He's going through. He even poses for a thumbnail at some point and says, yeah, YouTube's gonna love this. Like, that's something that's cut out of destroying a world that doesn't exist. Avery's fully like, well, I guess this is going on YouTube now. I kind of have to. So he's fully aware that this is being recorded. He's fully aware that everyone is going to see this now. And he ends up making all the way through to the crossroads, where the book specifically said you cannot turn left. Like, whatever you do, don't turn left at the crossroads. And Avery, at first he turns right, but then he's like, nah, I'm just joking. I'm going to turn left with you guys. And then he goes through and he sees behind the gate, but it's not centered out. It's just this golden block. And he's like, this is kind of a letdown. Then his game mode gets switched to survival. And then he is stuck and he can't switch back. And he goes to turn to go outside the gate and he's somewhere completely new. And it's like, ah!
The drama kicks in.
And then, God, with the music playing in Destroying the World That Does Not Exist, it fully, like, the narrator in Destroying the World That Does Not Exist is like, this shouldn't be possible. There's no cut in this footage. What is going on?
I gotta say, the music choices in both Searching For and Destroying a World That Doesn't Exist are so good.
They're so good.
There's really good music in there.
I love it. It's so nice. And like, they know exactly when to stop the music. It's something that always bugs me when people, I'm like, I have this problem too, of like, I just want the music to play the whole time. I hate when it goes silent. It's like, no, there's power in silence, man. It's when they know to cut it, ooh, it's good. Anyways, Avery is determined to go find whoever this Dur Lord is, which for the longest time when I was just reading it off of Tumblr, I was reading it as Darth. It's like, yeah, Darth Lord, totally. No, it's Dur, short for Derek. And then, yeah, he's like fully determined to go find Derek now. He does not know who this guy is. He just is. And he starts going down these tunnels. They're very set up like Scooby-Doo gateways, where it's just like, you gotta go straight across and it will take you somewhere else. But first you have to go through this gateway. And it's just like drops you off in this horrifying room or whatever. And it's, again, totally not possible. Enters into a giant mountain range bridge biome thing where you have to go through these bridges. And there's signs of Derek being there before. Like, there's definitely like player placed blocks there. And Avery's like, okay, I'm just gonna follow along. Don't mind me. And then bridges start dissipating behind him. Avery doesn't care. Avery just kind of keeps going. And then eventually he makes his way to this giant tree. And he's like, oh, the pathway goes down. So he goes down the tree and finds a giant door. And he ends up back in the hallway, this time one bridge closer to the end of it. Also, it's worth noting that, like, even though Derek's blocks were left, like, throughout the bridge area, the puzzle door was fixed when Derek had punched through it. Like, that was back to being completely whole. Which I think is weird and is not called out in the other videos.
Yeah. That's reset itself to lure a new person in.
The next door. I'm just reading through my notes now. There's so many. I don't think we're going to finish this anytime soon. I gotta read quickly. Okay.
You're good. I'm just here for the ride.
You're just here. I need someone to talk to me as I gushed about this ARG that Tumblr tricked me into reading or watching or vibing with.
I mean, I had one of my friends trick me into watching it. I was like calling them, they just went, hey, look at this, and then just put the video on. I'm like, all right, guess we're doing this now.
Okay, so I don't know how to tell you. That may or may not have actually happened to you. You might also be trapped in a world that doesn't exist. I don't know. Maybe.
Oh,
maybe try looking away from the screen for a second for me.
Let's not.
All right. The next door, it is a giant town that has like buildings built into pre-existing stone plateaus. There's a word for that. I don't know what it is. It's cool. It's kind of creepy though, because it's a very moody setting. And also there's times when lights randomly go out. Avery doesn't call it out, but the Destroying the World does. And it's like, yeah, it's only one small building off in the corner. But there's also random crafting tables around. Crafting tables kind of throughout this video become almost a symbol for Derek, which becomes ironic in a second, but don't worry about that. This is a clue that definitely won't help us later, unfortunately. He just starts following his way up, and eventually he makes it to the top where he goes through another door. First he gets spooked and he gets chased, yada yada yada. He comments on like, oh no, I'm feeling scared. Why am I feeling scared? Whatever. Then he ends up in a new room where he goes through the hallway, and then ends up in a new room of like this giant like mesa red sand desert that's filled with these really weird granite ruins with no clear signs. He just kind of ends up wandering around until he finds a giant like obelisk-esque thing that has something written on the side, and the dude's like, oh, I don't know what this is, I can't figure it out. And he's just like, he just kind of leaves and finds the door on his own. Like, I guess that puzzle wasn't needed to be solved. He just walked away with it.
Yeah, also, I mean, you don't have to play by their rules. If you
really,
want to
again,
just, like,
this is
no,
Minecraft.
I'm not doing it.
You can just wander around until you find something. That is the core of Minecraft.
Yeah, you could just be like, no, I'm not going to do your stuff. I'm going to go do my own thing.
I'm going to walk away. Yeah. And it's also worth noting that, like, Avery was fully going, yeah, dude speaking in, like, enchanting table or something. And if you scroll down to the comments of when, like, he was saying that in the 15-hour video, the chat's just like, he doesn't know what we've been through. We've been decoding enchantment table for months on end at this point. And it's like, oh, Avery, you don't know what you've caused.
It's been 7 years.
It's been 17 years.
Let us out.
No. Anyways, he leaves, goes out into the hallway again, goes to the next door, and he's in this giant, beautiful red field of nether plants, these open skies, and it's filled with like these quartz castle-like ruins, and he can't figure out the puzzle. This isn't even a one where he wanders away and just kind of like, I don't get it. Like, he fully tries to figure out this puzzle. And here's the deal. The carpets in the rooms that he goes into are laid out in arrows. The puzzle was just look at your feet and follow the arrows. But Avery was like so convinced something was under one of the carpets, something under one of the blocks, because that's how it's been in previous rooms. Like, oh yeah, there's a trapdoor hidden somewhere, that he breaks all the carpets and then places them back in a way that is no longer an arrow. He fully breaks his clue to the puzzle. And he's there for a very long time. Like, again, this is something that you miss when watching Destroying the World that doesn't exist, because when you're watching it as it plays out, the dude's there for, 30, 45 minutes, and eventually he just gives up and he's like, I can't do this. I'm sorry. This isn't something I can do. And then he starts asking for clues, and then suddenly a line of crafting tables appears. Crafting tables that, worth noting, were not there before. These are not crafting tables that Derek had left for Avery to follow. They were spawned in.
The drama.
Yeah, and this is, if you're watching the Destroying a World that doesn't exist, this is one of the first major clues of like, oh, yeah, Avery's being led somewhere. It's not just spookiness pushing him towards a cause. Something wants him to figure out these puzzles and get to the ultimate goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dur's not helping him. Dur is being used as bait. It's fine. Anyways, he manages to find whatever it is. He goes into the next room. It's very Spanish colonial revival-esque, maybe Roman, because those two tend to look the same in Minecraft. It's pretty, but there's nothing there that super is there as a clue for him to follow. Then the sky goes black. Whoopsie doodles. Don't worry about it. And as things do, Avery freaks out. There's something following him. He tries and he ultimately finds the door. The door is closed. This is the first door that is closed and he can't figure it out. So he rushes back out into the darkness. And eventually something just kind of like collapses under him and he ends up in like the sewer canal place. And he's just kind of like, okay, I'll just look around now.
Figure it out, I guess.
Figure it out. And he doesn't go through a yellow door. He just goes through these sewer canals until he finds this courtyard that has a garden in it. And you can see the yellow door, but there's also a church. And Avery goes into the church, and this church has a book that promises this is a safe place. Whatever is haunting you, it can't follow you here. You can't be hurt here. You're fine. And then page 6 is a censor bar. This is worth noting that this is the first censor bar in Avery's POV. This is about hour 2.5, maybe 3 in this video, fully censor barred. You are nothing, censor bar. You are safe. And Avery spends the next 12 hours tending to this courtyard, breaking down some overgrown ferns, planting some flowers by some graves, pouring water in and out of a well. For 12 hours, he does this.
No breaks.
No breaks. There is no cut in this footage. This is fully, seemingly done in one take, though I do believe that they had a potential to break in between the yellow doors. The courtyard scene, the 12 hours, done in one take. That is actually insane.
And then, I'm pretty sure, I haven't seen it, but I think you can probably corroborate that it isn't like, oh, you know, they have like a preset thing emotions are doing over and over again. No, it is very clear there is someone behind this actively controlling it. It's not just like a computer program going.
Organic, human, someone is choosing to do this. The only way you could have pre-recorded it is if you did these movements beforehand anyways. Like, there was no... This was purely done as someone who was put into a trance and told you have to tend to a courtyard now. This is someone who is stuck in their own mind, believing that this is now their reality. And eventually he finds a sign next to the yellow doors that is telling him, you are real, you are special, remember who you are. Avery then looks at the sky, apologizes to Derek, and goes into the next door. He goes into the hallways, and he finds the next room, which is like a stony cavern. It's just very basic, get up the walls, parkours in, has a giant marble statue thing with like a floating pool in the middle. Avery can't figure this one out either. Like, fully doesn't... He goes in, he's like, oh, there's like a puzzle combination with levers and colored blocks, and what's going on here? Couldn't figure it out. He is so over it at this point, he punches his way through the netherite floor. It takes him like 5 minutes. This is someone who's so... Barehanded. And then he's no longer in peaceful. He's no longer in creative mode. There is a what's it called? A drowned in the water with him. And he ends up using that for food at some point. Like, he's in normal survival, as much as this world can be counted for that. And he is just suffering his way, and he can't figure out what this puzzle is, so he gives up and just punches his way through the floor. Because once again, this is Minecraft, baby. If it's gonna take you an hour, I mean, you've already spent 14. Might as well do another one.
Yeah, because it's even like, if it was, it could have been designed where it was bedrock in that floor and he couldn't break it, but no, it was netherite, so he knew that he had the chance of getting through it, and so he was just brute forcing the puzzle.
All it takes is a little determination.
Little determination and a lot of time.
A lot of time. Anyways, he falls through. He ends up in another pond that has a big yellow door. He goes through it, goes through the hallway. The next room is a giant library. This is where things get a little funky. So, he finds books in this library. Fun fact, almost all of these books are referencing real things. Like, the first book he finds is, like, the first, like, entry paragraph to this book, Flowers of Alleganone or something. And then the second book is The Ruins of Goreland. And then the third book is the intro to the King in Yellow story. So, hello, referencing yourself. Book 4 has a weird code in it that in Destroying a World that doesn't exist. Like, Derek specifically calls out, I was like, oh, I haven't seen this code in a while. I don't know what that book is referencing. Book 5 is the intro monologue to Gravity Falls. So, just cash. Breaking the literary format.
There in the comments in the description of the Destroying a World That Doesn't Exist polished video, it is stated that Gravity Falls was one of the inspirations for the ARG in the first place.
Yeah,
so it's got a connection to be in there.
Yeah. It's just so weird. It goes like 3 ancient literary, I guess King in Yellow isn't at all, but like 3 literary giants, Gravity Falls.
3 literary giants. This is me crashing through a giant billboard.
Book 6 is this random one on this pedestal, different than all the others. Avery opens it up, but before he can read it, the floor crashes out beneath him, and he finally meets Dur. Dur, this guy who's been hunting for hours on end, who he's given up his New Year's Eve for. This is the whole thing. Avery set up the fact that he was doing this New Year's Eve. He's dedicated his entire New Year's Eve day to playing Minecraft to find this guy who he doesn't even know. And Dur greets him. It's a very joyous thing. I can't believe you're real. I honestly was starting to doubt your existence, yada, yada, yada. Then Avery starts asking if Dur's okay, and Dur doesn't really give an answer.
Surprise tool, it'll help us later.
Yes, this is... put that pin in the corner. And Dur is like, yeah, this last book, this one that you started reading, it's kind of important to our current situation. Turns out it is a book written by the previous vessel, and it's all about how the king has made it to this world. The altar for the vessel was used, and something broke him. Something broke the vessel's mind, and now everything is kind of trapped here. And there's weird tapping all throughout the thing. I think that's relevant. I don't actually know why. But in this book, it also includes the fact that there's a door. But it's not a door, it's an entrance. The king watches. And the vessel has tried to close these doors. If the doors are closed, the king will be trapped. And Dur's like, yeah, this is what the king in yellow is. If you look at it, it will fill your mind with horrible, unspeakable, forbidden, unlimited knowledge about how the multiverse works. And it kind of breaks you a little bit.
Yay!
Yay! Fun fact, in the original novel, it doesn't fill you with infinite knowledge, just horrible, forbidden knowledge, which I guess the rundown of the multiverse and every option you could possibly ever take is forbidden knowledge. It's not great.
Yeah, I mean... You can make infinite forbidden knowledge if you try hard enough.
Yeah, if you try hard enough, yeah. And it all boils down to, like, everything you know, this reality, this world doesn't exist. This is a world that doesn't exist. Avery's reality is a world that doesn't exist. The king has crammed all this information into a mind too small to handle it, and now it hurts. If Derek looks away from the screen, it will hurt. It will hurt to the point that it will kill him. And so Dur is stuck just staring at this Minecraft screen because it's the only thing. This realm of the king is the only thing that seems to numb the pain. But if he looks away, he's not going to make it. And Avery continues to ask, hey, are you okay?
He's like, no, I'm not. I've got a fridge. I've got a fridge of like smoothies, and I don't know how many are in there. I just have to keep reaching in and hoping there's another smoothie.
Yeah,
like,
eventually
we're
going to cut to like Dur's POV, and he talks about how it's like, there's a mini fridge next to me. When it's empty, I'm gonna die because I can't go and get more food. That's
mini
fine.
Fridge page.
Dur tells Avery to leave. Don't get involved with the king. Avery's like, I spent 14 hours trying to find you. I'm not leaving this now. We're doing this together or together. Pick your choice. Dur doesn't understand why Avery would put himself at risk for a guy he doesn't know. Avery's like, that doesn't matter anymore. I don't care. We know each other now. And so Dur is a person who cared. Yeah, Dur is a person who's cared enough about Avery to try and warn Avery. And the two of them are talking, and they're planning about how to close the doors. Then the world goes black. Avery just kind of looks down, and that's the end of the 15-hour video. That's when we cut into, you have to watch the rest of Destroying a World That Doesn't Exist. Yeah, yada, yada, yada. When Avery was going up to go look at that book, Dur just casually sent out a list of, like, symbols and numbers, and Avery's like, what's this for? And Dur's like, don't worry about it. Turns out it was a link to a Google Drive where it had the Dur's POV. Don't worry, he was fully talking to the audience of like, I can see that there's an audience going to be watching this. Great job, Avery, for uploading. Infinite knowledge of Minecraft. And YouTube uploading schedules, I suppose.
There you go.
We go through the whole thing of like, oh, if Avery looks away, he's going to scream. He only has a little bit of food left. He goes through, he solves all the puzzles. We specifically see him go through the bridge and find the giant tree. And he, like, leaves a false trail down to the bottom of the tree. And then he goes up to the top of the tree where there's another gate. The thing is that while he's investigating the mountains, Avery appears. And we know that can't be Avery, because Avery doesn't meet Dur until he's in the library. And so we're like, okay, what is going on here? And all the while, like, Dur had been messing around with the mountains, learning how to make certain bridges disappear and what can certain bridges appear, what can he force into this world. And Avery shows up, and Dur's like, this is ahead of schedule, and very quickly realizes that this Avery is a fake. And then it's like, okay, here's a cool thing I tested out. Do you want to try it? Step off this block I placed onto this mountain. I call it island in my notes. I don't know why. Onto this mountain, and watch a new bridge appear. And fake Avery does this. And then the mountain disappears beneath him. And he's like, you're an idiot. Be a better Avery.
Yeah, be a better Avery next time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, anyways, he goes
it is really really cool to see, like, in those clips how Durlord, like, figured out how that was, like, the pattern behind which islands, mountains, and bridges appeared and disappeared. And I think that the like, actual full ARG video explains that the way that he kind of tricked him is by standing on he realized that standing on the physical blocks of the original structure would cause things to change, but standing on the man-made blocks didn't, so he disguised some man-made blocks to look like they were part of the island itself. And that's what kind of fully got him and tricked him.
Yeah, well, he falsely connected islands, made it look like they were actually connected, and that's why it's like, oh yeah, no, if you step here, this will happen, because look how this is set up now. And he's like, that's not actually how it was set up. That was a trick. That was a lie. And so it was really cool and awesome. It was, like, very much showing that Derek is incredibly smart. And so, yeah, he goes to the top of the tree. He gets through that door. But it's very important to point out that this room does call it having multiple doors. It very specifically has multiple doors and multiple ways to get through a certain situation. This is an important clue that's going to help us later. Don't worry about it. Anyways, he goes through the hallway. He goes in the next room, which is that spooky courtyard. Derek immediately says, oh, this feels wrong. He goes into the church. He reads the book. But instead of going into a trance like Avery does, he's like, that's gross. That's really gross. He leaves 2 signs. He gets out. So whatever.
The 2 types of people in the world.
Yeah.
Hypnotism and gross.
Gross. I don't know what happened here, but I don't like it. Again, censor, so the audience doesn't go insane, I suppose. I don't know. Next room is that weird cabinet room that had the netherite floor going through. And he's like, this doesn't make any sense. But the thing is, this is no longer a peaceful world. Derek had set this world to peaceful before because he was losing hunger. He's lost hunger now. And a zombie has appeared. And he's like, okay, that's weird. Then the zombie stops burning in sunlight. And he's like, that's weird. And so using Minecraft knowledge, he's like, oh, there's a block that stops zombies from burning in sunlight that renders if you're far enough away from it, but it still casts shadows. Shulker boxes. So he turns his lighting setting of Minecraft. Again, very important that we're watching this through someone who's playing Minecraft, not characters. He turns it all the way down to moody, and he can see the shadows that the shulker boxes are casting. And they're all pointing to a specific block that looks totally normal to every other block, and he mines it, and it drops him immediately into the next room. He didn't have to solve any puzzles. He didn't have to flip any levers. It was fine. He solved it.
The solution was break a block.
The solution was break a block.
Avery did do that. He just didn't break the right one.
Mm-hmm. Then he goes into the library, doesn't wait very long. Avery shows up immediately. And then, it cuts to the world going black, and Avery stops responding. And Derek kind of starts poking at him, and then Axe Crit kills him. Just cash. It seems very weird in the moment. Don't worry, it makes sense. And then, in this dark room, suddenly there's eyes of the King of Yellow. And it starts saying that the king starts saying that Derek shouldn't be awake. Derek shouldn't be conscious about what he's doing right now. He is alone. He has lost hope. Everything is gone. The king will find his vessel. The king will reach his ultimate goal. There is no future because the king will fuse with this vessel, escape this digital realm, because again, the king is actively trapped in Minecraft. That's such a weird thing. Like, this Elder Core is trapped in Minecraft. And
It's a fun like it's a fun modern take on like a lot of there's a ghost in the machine.
Yeah,
There's a demon in this book. There's an eldritch unknowable being in this game of Minecraft.
in this game of Minecraft. And the king is like, you are nothing, you will be removed, you will be put to sleep, and tries to force Dur to go to sleep. And Derek refuses. He refuses so hard that the king in yellow ends up just kind of throwing him into this red realm with a door that's been shut. And he's just kind of stuck there. And Derek is like, there's no way out through your logic. However, this is still Minecraft. And that's my game. That's what I can do. So he fully figures out that this isn't a void world. There's a whole bunch of things beneath him. He just needs to break through the ground, but he can't break the ground. He can break the first layer, but there's this darkness underneath. And he's like, hold on. I have a boat. And the lovely, lovely Minecraft glitch. You can kind of just phase out of boats. It's been a problem for a while. Be careful when getting in and out of boats super quickly because you will just fall through the floor. But luckily, there was this whole galaxy beneath him. He ultimately ladder clutches, saves himself, and then he finds another door because again, there's always another way out. And he walks back into the hall. And he has the opportunity to go through the big final door, the big thing. But he's like, oh, there's one more to the side. I can just go investigate that. And it takes him to the village floating on glass that we saw in the MC Live video, where he finds a barrel with a book that was written by the vessel. And in this book, it talks about, from the vessel's point of view, it's like, my mind feels tainted. Everyone says my mind must be clean, must be empty, must be ready for the king. The king needs a clean mind to enter. But he's worried. He's worried. He's not. He's stressed out. He's thinking about stuff. And then so it's like, okay, this is the spell that needs to be recited. I'm going to bed. Everything will be better in the morning. And then morning comes, and this vessel is, everything's fine. We fused. It's perfect. Don't worry about it. Yay!
So that there's nothing horrifying happening.
That is how it is explained that the king in yellow has ended up stuck in Minecraft. This group of villagers summoned him into Minecraft and trapped him there through a vessel that was ultimately a digital being that didn't really exist in the physical world. So, mixing realities here, don't worry about it. That's the whole point of a world that doesn't exist. It never existed. It's Minecraft. Yahoo!
It's just ones and zeros.
It's just ones and zeros. Yahoo! Anyways, so the very important thing in this book is the spell that has to be recited in order to fuse the king with its vessel, the vessel with a pure mind, which is going to be an important tool that helps us later.
Oh!
Because, actually, it's going to help us right now, because Derek realizes that a vessel with a clean mind, that's everything Avery is. Avery's a little bit of an airhead. He's smart. He's very skilled. One of the things in the playlist of like the ARG puzzles that you could unlock the videos of is Avery playing like a really good game of Skyblock. Dude's like wicked talented. Don't get me wrong. He's just not very good at puzzles. And
yeah,
Derek, meanwhile, with being corrupted from seeing the king in yellow, being flooded with this infinite knowledge to the point it's actively killing him, Derek's like, oh, I'm everything the king fears. And so he goes to meets up with Avery again and basically tells him, go to the big tree. At the top of the tree is filled with gold. I need you to cover up the doors. This is where we get revealed that Dur's real name is Derek. And Avery leaves. And instead of staying like he promised Avery, Derek goes into the final door. There, it's a big castle. It's a big village. It's beautiful. And inside it is the stone platform that has the symbol of the church carved into the floor. Which is, it's question, did the church promise safety? And it's like, not whatever's haunting you can't hurt you here. But it was still dedicated to the king in yellow. And it did put Avery into a trance. But it did keep him from advancing, so he would have been kept away from the king in yellow. But they put him in a trance that did very much clean his mind out. So,
I mean,
I don't know.
We can't really tell if it's sinister in like, hey, nothing will hurt you here. We're gonna clean your mind out, or hey, nothing can hurt you here. We're gonna keep you here so you don't get hurt any further.
Yeah.
So we don't We don't know for certain if that was with good intentions or bad intentions, but we know that probably the trance effect of the church is part of what made Avery a good vessel for the king.
Yeah. So anyways, Derek just goes up, stands on the platform. The world turns to pixelated blackness, and suddenly it's filled with giant golden eyes staring at him. They're very well built eyes. I gotta say, 10 out of 10 spears.
The whole world is well built.
Oh my god, this world is gorgeous. But like
Yeah,
spheres,
the way that the way the eye like phases in slowly,
so
it kind of builds in real time.
It's so good. Anyways, Derek demands to know why Avery, and says, well, Avery's closed the door. Avery is safe. You can't get him now. Your vessel is out of your reach. And the king's like, that book was a lie. I left that there to trick you. The doors are meaningless. And then Derek says the spell. Every other book had been a lie, but Derek managed to find the one book left by the previous vessel. He didn't need to go through that last door. The final door was right there. But the previous vessel, the one who had trapped him in Minecraft in the first place, had left the spell. And Derek realized, if you end up in an unclean mind, if you end up in a mind that's already tainted, we're both gonna die. If I look away from the screen, suffering. But I can take you with me.
Yeah, just, hey, you're trapped in Minecraft? Great. You can come to the real world, but only for as long as you can stare at Minecraft until you die. You'll get out, but you won't be able to go anywhere.
Anyways, the world starts falling apart. The king starts begging Derek to cancel the spell, to do anything. Like, I'll let you live, I'll give you wealth, I'll give you money, all this stuff. And then the king vanishes. And then the smaller eyes appear again. And then Avery appears. Derek is begging Avery to leave, to disconnect, and Derek threatens to kill Avery. Avery draws a sword, and Derek explains the plan. Obviously, Avery's going to be upset by this, and refuses to let Derek give up, refuses to let Derek die. But if Avery doesn't leave, then they'll both die, because then they're both going to be stuck there forever. And Avery's once again saying all or nothing. Derek asks what's in Avery's inventory, and then pushes him off the edge. We don't ever see, like, an Avery dies message, which makes me feel like, was that even the real Avery? Was that another trick? We don't...
Yeah, because also, like, I just want to touch on, like, how significant kind of it is to the themes of the story and kind of what's happened so far is one of the, like, first kind of helpful clues that we got in searching for a world that doesn't exist was codes in an inventory. So Avery was primed to open his inventory and look for a bigger amount of time just to see what was going on in there, to see if there was like a code or something he had to look for. But also the whole thing of, hey, this is the mechanics of Minecraft, this is the world of Minecraft, we live by these rules, we die by these rules, is that Durlord is taking advantage of the fact that when you open your inventory in the game, you cannot see what's happening and you cannot move until you close your inventory again. So it is fully just the same way that he kind of managed to defeat the king is how he is getting Avery out of this situation and saving him.
Yeah, but also it's worth pointing out that Avery had just died, and somehow he'd managed to get a sword. He went and covered up the doors, but then he's like, no, you lied to me. There's no gold here. There's nothing. So he rushes back to go find Derek, assuming like rushing through the doors to get there. But when did he have time to pick up a sword? All the chests and barrels that anyone had found, except for the ones that had the book in it, were empty. Like, that sword shouldn't have been there. So it makes me think, like, maybe that wasn't Avery at the end. Maybe that was the king's final attempt to get Derek to stop the spell.
The only evidence I can think of against your point, like poking sticks at your theory, is that when Avery falls backwards, when he's shoved off, he does type a final message in chat, and the start of the message is W's, as if he's trying to walk forward before he manages to send the message and then try and move again.
Yeah.
Because W is the key for walking forward, as opposed to just typing in genuine text.
Yeah, it is very much like, it could be Avery, it could not be. But in the end,
ambiguity.
Derek says goodbye to him, and then the small eyes vanish. And the big eyes still, like, it had come back, but now it's still very much eroding. And Derek spends the moments to mock it, to say that the king had lost to a lord. And then the eye is gone, and then the screen goes black. And then we get the final goodbye letter from Derek.
Also in that Google Drive where the video was.
Also in that Google Drive. Remember, this was all in a Google Drive someone found.
Yeah, which also means that by the time that Durlord had sent the he had the time to make the Google Drive,
Yeah,
have the
he
video in it,
uploaded
have
the videos to Google Drive like this.
Yeah, he uploaded the video, he uploaded the letter, and then he had enough time to send it to Avery at that point in the video. So he already knew that he was going to die, and he had pre-written that letter.
I mean, he saw every possibility. He knew every option. Like, at the end, there wasn't really a way for him not to die. You either die by sacrificing yourself or die by dying with everyone else, let's say. Yes. Anyways, the final goodbye, it's still just a letter that's like, yeah, I've come to terms with what will happen, but I'm not going to question why I've recorded all of this. He's like, oh, my head hurts. I can feel myself slipping as we become one. His mind is a prison. It's all a shame. All of this knowledge in the world, and there's no way to use it. He asks Avery, when he reads it, to not think that he's failed, because he has managed to save millions of lives by stopping the King in Yellow from entering into the real world in a host that could actually support him. He says Avery's capable of great things, not just because he's seen it, but because it doesn't take a god to know Avery's potential. Whatever Avery has, it is real. Whatever you do at the crossroads, keep moving forward. And that is the end of a world that doesn't exist.
Woohoo! I'm clapping, but I don't want to peek out my mic, so...
It's so good. It's so good.
It's so well written. I believe that Wifies has a history of dissecting other people's ARGs, so he had that like background knowledge of what makes a good ARG to make his as good as it was. I'm not 100% certain on that. I might be wrong, but that's what I was told when I was first watching it.
It's so good. It's so... And, like, this doesn't feel like a video to do, like, a big Q&A section on. Like, you're in a rush. I don't want to edit a huge file. But there is one thing we absolutely have to say, and that is from Trashburger Blair, your favorite part of Minecraft storytelling as a medium. And to that, I point to all of this. All of you see the potential that is available in Minecraft?
Yeah, that I'm stealing your answer. It is just the, like... the freedom and the freedom and the creativity of like, hey, you can do all of this stuff where there's not really a limit to what exactly you can create in the world because you just have a little vessel that represents you and the ability to create whatever you want around it. And people have made a lot of really, really cool stuff. Like it's how they have like the banned library world that you can download that has divided by country books that have been banned. Like stuff like that is why like storytelling like this is important, because that is a form of storytelling, even if it's not the traditional like YouTube or Twitch that people think of. It's such a open sandbox that it really gives an opportunity for just anything and everything at all.
When I was telling my coworkers what I was doing, because, you know, again, I wasn't hiding that I was doing this on work hours, but he's like, why don't you just go play Minecraft? Why are you dedicating hours of your life to go watch people play Minecraft? I'm like, I can't tell this story. Someone did this and just put it out there for free. Not only for free for us to go watch, but also as something for people to go do. This was an activity. This was a puzzle. I can't just go build a cool courtyard and say, oh, haha, look at me, I'm walking around stuck in a trance. Like, no, there was something there in the act of watching someone else create.
Yeah, like, it's the same as any other form of media. You don't go, why are you watching TV? Why don't you go get a camera and make it yourself? Why are you reading a book? Why don't you go write it yourself? Because someone else made that, and I want to see how they did it, and I want to see a story. I want to see a story, and I want it to be interesting, and that's the point of it.
At the end of the day, this is a retelling of The King in Yellow. It is a reimagining. It is what if this is happening now, again, in our world, in this moment with Minecraft. But it's still a King in Yellow. Like, I could also just go read the King in Yellow book, but it wouldn't be the same. And maybe it would make me question the ending, too, of, like, was this actually real? Was this actually someone going insane? Maybe it was someone's final plea, an attempt to live. Or maybe it was just Minecraft. At the end of the day, someone had a world that they thought was solo player, and it turns out a god was living in it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And to toss one final question in for funsies, What was your first experience with an ARG? Was this your first time experiencing an ARG, or have you participated in other ones before?
Gods no, I was a Gravity Falls kid through and through. I was a loyal
Same.
member of the Holy Order of the Royal Mackerel. I was skilled when I was but a child. Like, ARGs are in my blood.
That Bill Cipher hunt right at the end of the show.
Bill.
No, that Bill Cipher hunt at the end of the show just was a thing that got me into ARGs as a whole. Is just like the especially because that one was a community one that brought so many people together from all around the world to go find an actual object. It was really fun, and it's I think that one is one of the ones that has kind of brought ARGs into being popular for like this generation as a whole. Like they're not super popular.
To Gravity Falls.
Gravity Falls. It wasn't the first ARG, but it was one that was connected to an on television TV show. Which
on Disney. You know how huge that Disney audience was?
We need to have a Gravity Falls episode.
How have we not had that already? Okay, we'll put that on the books for later.
Okay.
Yeah, I just have one small announcement, and that is I am joining a new Minecraft RP server called Biome Bounds, and it is basically a whole bunch of content creators are trapped on this island that has been fractured in many ways, and we are going to be given tasks to try and figure stuff out and survive. And it's going to be a bit more lore heavy than I've done in a while. And like after watching all of this, I am so excited to get back into storytelling.
Awesome. I'll be sure to check in and watch what you're doing. So
I've decided I'm going to be a tunnel rat.
Ooh,
I had angsty lore plans, and then we were talking in the Discord, and I'm like, I can't do that angsty lore. I gotta build tunnels.
I gotta go underground.
There's gonna be an underground roller coaster. There's gonna be a subway system. I'm gonna have beef with the mailman. It all is gonna come together. All right. Well,
there you go.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me.
There's so much gay Tumblr fan art. If that's the answer, good luck and goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of FanDive. We'll be back again next Monday diving into yet another fandom. Have a topic you would like us to cover? Head over to our website, fandive.tumblr.com. There you can also find any episode relevant images and general shenanigans that we get up to. It is Tumblr after all. We're not ashamed of being fans of things.